Have you ever wondered how one of the world's richest and most famous royal families became even richer, while millions of ordinary people struggled with rising taxes, soaring energy bills, and a cost of living crisis? What if the biggest controversy surrounding the British monarchy wasn't about Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, or even Prince Andrew? What if the real story was about money? Not just millions, but hundreds of millions of pounds. Today, we're diving into explosive claims made by former British MP and royal author Norman Baker, claims that have reignited one of the biggest debates in modern British history. According to Baker, the British monarchy isn't just expensive. He argues that the public has never been told the full story. And if his allegations are true, the financial relationship between the Crown and the British taxpayer is far more complicated than most people realize. Welcome to Behind the Crown, the channel where we go beyond the headlines to uncover the stories, controversies, and history surrounding Britain's royal family. Let's begin. For decades, the British royal family has presented itself as a symbol of duty, service, and tradition. From royal weddings watched by millions, to state funerals, to charity visits and public appearances,
the monarchy has carefully cultivated an image of stability. But critics have long argued that another side exists, one that's rarely discussed. Recently, that criticism returned to the spotlight during an interview with former Liberal Democrat MP Norman Baker. Baker isn't a tabloid journalist. He's a former government minister and the author of books examining royal finances and accountability. During the interview, he made a series of extraordinary allegations. According to Baker, the true annual cost of the monarchy is far higher than the official figures most people hear. Officially, public attention usually focuses on the sovereign grant, the funding provided to support the king's official duties. But Baker argues that's only one piece of a much larger financial picture. He claims that once security costs, tax exemptions, royal properties, and other public expenses are included, the overall cost to taxpayers could be several £100 million every year. It's an estimate that remains disputed, and supporters of the monarchy strongly challenge figures like these. Still, the interview has reignited an old question. How much does the royal family really cost? And perhaps more importantly, how much should the public actually know? Because according to Baker, transparency is where the real controversy begins. One of his biggest criticisms concerns something many people outside Britain have never even heard of: the duchies. Most people know Buckingham Palace,
Windsor Castle, maybe Balmoral, but very few understand the importance of the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall. These aren't simply historic estates. They're enormous property portfolios consisting of farmland, commercial buildings, forests, rivers, coastline, and other valuable assets. The Duchy of Lancaster provides income for King Charles. The Duchy of Cornwall provides income for Prince William. Supporters argue these duchies have existed for centuries and legally provide private income for the monarch and heir to the throne. But Baker strongly disagrees. He argues these estates should benefit the British public instead of individual royals. During the interview, he described them as what he called royal slush funds. That's his characterization, not an established legal finding, but it illustrates just how strongly he feels about the issue. His criticism doesn't stop there. He alleges that some public institutions, including the NHS and even parts of the military, have paid fees connected to duchy-owned land. Those claims have attracted significant media attention, particularly after investigations into how the duchies manage some of their property holdings. Supporters of the royal family respond that the duchies operate within the law and are managed according to long-established legal arrangements. But critics argue legality isn't the same as fairness, and that's where the public debate becomes much larger than the royal family itself. It's about privilege. It's about accountability. And ultimately, it's about trust. Because if ordinary taxpayers must account for every pound they owe, shouldn't the monarchy face the same level of scrutiny? Perhaps the most controversial part of Baker's argument concerns taxation. Most people assume everyone follows broadly the same tax rules, But Britain's constitutional arrangements are unique. Historically, monarchs have received certain exemptions. King Charles voluntarily pays income tax on some income, following arrangements introduced during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. However, Baker argues these voluntary arrangements don't go far enough. He questions why inherited royal wealth receives special treatment and whether these historic exemptions still make sense in a modern democracy. Again, these are political arguments rather than legal accusations. No court has ruled that the royal family has acted unlawfully by benefiting from existing tax arrangements. Nevertheless, the discussion has become increasingly relevant as Britain continues to face economic pressures. Many people are asking difficult questions. Should centuries-old privileges continue exactly as they always have? Or is reform inevitable? Yet money is only one side of the controversy, because every financial debate surrounding the monarchy eventually runs into another issue: secrecy. Baker argues that obtaining information about royal finances has become increasingly difficult over the years.
One of his biggest criticisms concerns freedom of information laws. These laws were designed to increase transparency across public bodies. However, exemptions exist for communications involving the monarch and certain senior royals. Supporters argue these protections preserve constitutional neutrality and protect sensitive communications. Critics believe they reduce accountability. And that disagreement sits at the heart of today's debate. What should remain private, and what should taxpayers have the right to know? Those questions became even more controversial after long-running legal battles over what became known as King Charles's Black Spider Memos. These handwritten letters, written while Charles was still Prince of Wales, revealed his private lobbying on various public policy issues. Their release sparked fierce political debate. For some, the letters demonstrated a future king taking an active interest in national affairs. For others, they blurred the line between constitutional neutrality and political influence. Baker believes the aftermath led to even greater protections around royal communications. Supporters argue those protections are necessary for the monarchy to function properly. Whichever side you agree with, the controversy hasn't gone away. In many ways, it's only grown larger. Because just when public attention was focused on royal finances, another scandal exploded onto the world stage. One that would change public perceptions of the monarchy forever.
Prince Andrew. His friendship with the late Jeffrey Epstein. The allegations made by Virginia Giuffre. The civil settlement. And the questions many people still believe remain unanswered. According to Baker, Andrew wasn't simply protected by palace officials. He argues there was a wider institutional culture of protecting the monarchy's reputation whenever damaging stories emerged. Those are serious allegations. The royal household has consistently rejected suggestions of any coordinated cover-up, and Prince Andrew has repeatedly denied wrongdoing in relation to the allegations against him, although he later reached an out-of-court civil settlement without admitting liability. Even so, the scandal fundamentally changed public attitudes. Suddenly, people weren't just asking questions about one prince. They were asking questions about the institution itself. But if Prince Andrew was only one piece of the puzzle, then Norman Baker believes the bigger question isn't simply what happened. It's how the royal family responds when controversy strikes. According to Baker, the institution has developed a culture of crisis management over decades. His argument is simple.
Whenever damaging allegations appear, the priority isn't necessarily to answer every question publicly. Instead, he claims the focus is often on protecting the reputation of the monarchy itself. Supporters of the royal family strongly reject that interpretation. They argue that every major institution, whether it's a government, corporation, or royal household, has communications teams designed to manage public attention during difficult moments. From that perspective, what critics describe as cover-ups are simply public relations. But Baker believes the pattern goes much deeper. During the interview, he used a memorable comparison. He said it's like seeing a crack in the wall. Instead of replacing the wall, you simply paint over the crack and hope nobody notices. Whether people agree with that comparison or not, it reflects a growing frustration among some critics who believe the monarchy has avoided difficult questions for too long. And nowhere has that debate been more intense than around Prince Andrew. Following his friendship with the late Jeffrey Epstein and the allegations made by Virginia Giuffre, Andrew stepped back from public duties. He has repeatedly denied wrongdoing. In 2022, he reached an out-of-court civil settlement with Giuffre without admitting liability. Even after that settlement, questions continued. Why had warning signs not triggered greater concern years earlier? Who inside the institution knew what? Were opportunities missed to protect the monarchy from one of the biggest reputational crises in its modern history? Those questions remain part of public debate.
No official inquiry has concluded that senior royals coordinated any cover-up. Nevertheless, the controversy changed something important: public trust. Because once confidence begins to disappear, every future controversy becomes harder to contain. And Baker argues that this is exactly what's happening today. According to him, Prince Andrew opened a door that many people never realized existed. Once the public started questioning one royal, they began questioning the institution itself, its finances, its transparency, its privileges, its accountability, and perhaps most importantly, its relationship with political power. That brings us to one of the most fascinating controversies involving King Charles long before he became king. Many viewers may never have heard of something called the Black Spider Memos. The nickname came from Charles's distinctive handwriting. For years, while serving as Prince of Wales, Charles wrote letters to government ministers expressing opinions on issues ranging from healthcare to agriculture and environmental policy. Normally, Britain's constitutional monarchy is expected to remain politically neutral. So when campaigners fought in court to have these letters released under Freedom of Information laws, it became a major constitutional battle. Eventually, some of the letters became public. Supporters argued they simply showed a future king taking an interest in national affairs. Critics believed they demonstrated inappropriate lobbying behind closed doors. Norman Baker falls firmly into the second camp.
He argues the episode highlighted why greater transparency is necessary. But regardless of which side people supported, the controversy raised another difficult question. Should members of the royal family privately influence elected governments? Or should they remain completely above politics? There still isn't universal agreement, and perhaps that's why the debate never truly disappeared. But money, politics, and secrecy eventually lead to another issue: the media. One of Baker's strongest criticisms concerns what he believes is the unusually close relationship between parts of the British media and the royal household. He doesn't claim every journalist is controlled. Far from it.
Instead, he argues that many media organizations have historically been reluctant to challenge the monarchy too aggressively, sometimes because of access, sometimes because of legal concerns, sometimes because public opinion strongly favored the institution. The royal household has always maintained relationships with the press through official communications offices, just as governments and many large organizations do. Supporters say that's completely normal. Critics argue it creates an imbalance where uncomfortable stories receive less attention than positive royal coverage. Whether that's true remains heavily debated. But history shows that royal reporting has always been complicated. Access to senior royals is valuable. Exclusive interviews attract huge audiences.
Photographs sell newspapers. Television specials generate millions of viewers. In that environment, some critics believe media organizations can become cautious. Others strongly disagree and point to years of intense reporting on royal controversies as evidence that the press remains highly critical. The truth likely lies somewhere between those two extremes. Still, Baker argues that another factor makes accountability even harder: tradition.
Britain's monarchy is built on centuries of ceremony, symbolism, and constitutional custom. Many traditions inspire admiration around the world. But Baker believes some traditions also discourage difficult questions. For example, members of Parliament swear an oath to the monarch before taking their seats. Supporters view that as loyalty to the constitutional system. Baker argues elected representatives should instead swear loyalty to the country and democracy itself. It's a political opinion shared by some constitutional reformers. Others strongly disagree.
Yet it highlights something larger. The debate isn't just about personalities. It's about the future role of the monarchy itself. Should it remain exactly as it has for generations? Or should it evolve? That question becomes even more important when discussing money. Because critics often ask a simple question. If the royal family is becoming smaller, why aren't the costs falling too? King Charles has repeatedly spoken about the idea of a slimmed-down monarchy. The basic idea is fewer working royals carrying out official engagements. Supporters believe this creates a more efficient institution. Norman Baker isn't convinced. According to him, reducing the number of public appearances doesn't automatically reduce financial benefits. He argues that income connected to duchies, historic arrangements, and other funding mechanisms continues regardless. Supporters counter that constitutional finances are far more complex than critics suggest. They point out that many royal properties belong to the crown rather than individual family members.
Others argue that royal diplomacy, tourism, and international influence create indirect economic value that offsets public costs. Economists themselves remain divided over exactly how much financial benefit the monarchy generates. Some studies suggest significant tourism benefits. Others argue tourists would continue visiting Britain's historic palaces regardless of whether royals lived there. It's a debate that has lasted for decades, and there's still no universal answer. But perhaps the biggest shift isn't happening inside Buckingham Palace. It's happening among the public. Opinion polls over recent years have suggested that younger generations are less enthusiastic about the monarchy than older voters. Support remains significant, but it's no longer as overwhelming as it once was. Every controversy, every financial question, every scandal gradually shapes public opinion. And that's exactly why interviews like Norman Baker's attract so much attention. Not because everyone agrees with him, but because more people are now willing to ask questions that years ago many wouldn't even have considered asking. And according to Baker, that may be the biggest change of all.
So, is the British monarchy really hiding billions from the public? Or are these simply accusations from one of its loudest critics? The truth depends on who you ask. Because when it comes to the royal family, almost every financial debate has two completely different versions. Supporters say the monarchy represents stability. They argue that no elected president could replace the global recognition the British royal family brings. Every state visit, every diplomatic meeting, every royal event projects Britain's image across the world. They also point out that the monarchy operates under centuries of constitutional law. Many of the financial arrangements criticized by Norman Baker aren't secret at all. They're legal, they're published, and Parliament has repeatedly chosen to keep them in place. From this perspective, the real issue isn't corruption, it's constitutional tradition. But Baker believes legality doesn't automatically make something fair. Throughout the interview, he repeatedly returned to one central argument. Modern Britain has changed.
The economy has changed. Public expectations have changed. Yet he believes many royal privileges have remained largely untouched. And according to him, that gap between modern Britain and centuries-old royal privilege is becoming harder to defend. One of the most striking parts of the interview came when the conversation turned toward Prince William.
Unlike Prince Andrew, William continues to enjoy relatively strong public approval. He's widely seen as the future of the monarchy. But Baker questioned whether William is truly modernizing the institution, or simply modernizing its image. According to Baker, William has spoken about creating a smaller monarchy, fewer working royals, a more focused royal family. On the surface, that sounds exactly like the reform many people have been asking for. But Baker argues the real test isn't how many people appear on the Buckingham Palace balcony. The real test is whether the monarchy becomes cheaper, more transparent, and more accountable. Because if fewer royals continue receiving the same financial advantages, then in Baker's view, very little has actually changed.
Supporters strongly disagree. They argue that William represents a new generation, one that's more aware of public expectations, one that's focused on environmental causes, mental health, and modern public engagement. Whether those reforms eventually extend to royal finances remains an open question. And perhaps that's why so many people are watching William's future so closely, because the decisions made over the next decade could shape the monarchy for generations. Then came another topic that continues to divide public opinion: Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Baker was asked whether the couple might be facing financial pressure after leaving royal duties. His answer was cautious. He admitted he didn't know the details of their finances, but he suggested that building an entire public brand around being former working royals becomes increasingly difficult as time passes. Every interview, every documentary, every memoir eventually reaches a limit. The further Harry and Meghan move away from their time inside the royal family, the harder it becomes to keep telling the same story. Whether that's true remains to be seen.
But it reflects another challenge facing every member of the modern monarchy. Public attention never lasts forever. Sooner or later, people begin asking new questions. And today, those questions increasingly focus on money. Perhaps the most important part of the interview wasn't any single allegation. It was Baker's prediction about the future. He believes younger generations are viewing the monarchy very differently from previous generations. Opinion polls continue to show support for the institution, but among younger Britons, support is noticeably weaker than it once was. That doesn't mean the monarchy is about to disappear. Far from it. The royal family remains one of Britain's most recognizable institutions. Millions still watch royal weddings. Millions still follow royal news. Millions still admire the work carried out by many members of the family. But Baker argues something fundamental has changed. People are no longer willing to accept tradition simply because it's tradition. Instead, they're asking questions. How much does it cost?
Who benefits? Who pays? And who decides? Whether you agree with Norman Baker or completely reject his conclusions, those questions are now part of the national conversation, and they aren't going away anytime soon. History has shown that the British monarchy has survived wars, political crises, family scandals, abdications, divorces, and public criticism before. Its greatest strength has often been its ability to adapt. The question now is whether it can adapt once again. Can greater transparency strengthen public trust? Or would opening every royal financial arrangement create even bigger controversies? Only time will answer that. One thing is certain. The debate surrounding the British royal family has entered a completely new era. No longer is the conversation only about crowns, palaces, or ceremonial traditions. Today,
It's increasingly about accountability, public money, public trust, and whether centuries-old institutions should evolve alongside modern democracy. For some people, the monarchy remains Britain's greatest national symbol. For others, it's an institution overdue for significant reform. And somewhere between those two positions lies one undeniable fact. The conversation is changing fast.
As more books are published, more investigations are conducted, and more documents become public, the pressure for greater transparency is unlikely to disappear. Whether that leads to reform or simply fuels even more debate will be one of the defining royal stories of the coming years. Here on Behind the Crown, we'll continue following every major royal development, separating verified facts from opinion, and bringing you the stories shaping the future of Britain's most famous family. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Behind the Crown, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation. Because behind every royal headline, there's always another story waiting to be uncovered. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.